Hello, good evening. So, I decided to stream this section live because I'm recording this a little later than I used to record it, and unfortunately, I would not have the time to be able to edit this in time. So, I decided to record it live instead. So, today we'll be streaming weekly updates live, and it's very late. It's 10 p.m. at my end, so it's like what 1 a.m. in Nigeria, and then 10 12 a.m. in Ghana, and so it's pretty late, so I don't really expect a lot of people to be on the call. But then if you see this later, you can comment, and I'll get back to you if you have any questions. So last week was very nice. We had a lot of very impressive move, but personally it was not a good week for me. I made a lot of bad trades. So the week did not really go well for me. I think the week ended like a break-even week for me. I made some money, and then at the end of the day, I lost like some money. So it was a little tricky. So yeah, hopefully this week is it's a better week. So let's quickly look at the fundamentals for the week. So Monday we have an AUD rate decision, which is a very big fundamental news for the Australian dollar. So you need to pay a very close attention to. So interest rates decision, and I don't want to go into the fundamentals. Let's forget about the fundamentals for now. So pay attention to the Australian dollar on Monday, and then we have another AUD news on Tuesday, and then the rest of Tuesday, New York session, we have a US dollar, and then later we have New Zealand unemployment. So AUD, USD, NZD. Wednesday we have non-farm payroll, employment change. We have FOMC, federal funds rate, FOMC conference, and then JPY holiday. So this week is going to be really packed. CHF, CPI. So I've been looking for the CHFs to gain some strength, especially with Euro CHF, and we might get that on Thursday with a CPI coming in. So that is something I'll keep an eye on. GBP is power pack. GBP is going to be volatile for some time now because of the issues that they are having they're having with their government system now. Like there's a lot of instability in their government at the moment. And on Friday we have NFP. So this week is going to be power packed, and most of the time what happens with most NFP weeks is the week is slightly slow, and then it waits for NFP, and then it moves. But it looks like this week is going to be volatile throughout the week, so it's going to be an exciting week, and we would expect. So almost all the major currencies have a major fundamental event this week, so it might be a very power packed week. So let's go to the technicals. I'm not really personally, I do my own fundamentals, but I don't want to talk about fundamentals. It's mostly pure technical analysis when we are doing a weekly breakdown. Maybe we'll have like a time to talk about fundamentals later on in the future, right? So let's start off with the Dixie. Let's start off with the Dixie. So the dollar was very strong for a couple of weeks. Very strong. And This was the previous low that we're looking at, and this was the very highest high that price went to. We see price creating a lower high here. It breaks the low here. So currently we are technically bullish on the dollar, but if you look at it from the long-term perspective, you see the structure is shifting a little bit, right? This is what we see. So it makes a lot of sense for price to continue pushing up. And this is the high that we are looking at here. We are most likely going to see the dollar continue pushing up. So here, so let's look at this. So this is our impulse move here. So we go with our Fibonacci 0 to 1, and here is our 50%. So if price is going to create a new high, at least we should expect a 50% retracement here. That means we should expect the dollar to continue pushing up. Worst case scenario, we are looking at a 50% retracement. But the best case scenario means we could get 100% retracement, which will give us another top before the dollar drop. But what you should see is that the dollar is gradually becoming weak because we've broken a major low here. And the trend is beginning to slope to the downside like this. And that is something very important you need to keep an eye on. So early in the week, I'm expecting some pushes. So it depends on how tomorrow OP is going into the landing session. If we see a rejection around the 50% retracement, we might look to short here. But mostly what happens is moves that start from Friday is most likely going to continue to Wednesday, all things being equal in a perfect week. But sometimes you don't get a perfect week. There are so many things that could go wrong, but we need to see some pushes here. Another thing to keep an eye on here is there's this resistance here, and that is slightly above the 50% that we could get price running into. So what you should keep an eye on generally with the Dixie is that we are going to see a continuation of the strength to the upside, and we should be looking for a potential reversal here. Until the only time you should be looking at a bullish Dixie long term is if we take out this high here, right? But right now it's not showing like that. We don't see any sign of any long-term pushes to the upside. It just looks like a retracement, and we might get a big push to the upside. So we look at the dollar pairs and look at what they are showing to also confirm what we are seeing on Dixie. Another thing to keep an eye here is there is a liquidity on the daily that is sitting around this level here. So the dollar, very bullish, but we have a weakening trend here. So something to keep an eye on. Now let's look at the JPY basket. The JPY basket is, on a big slope. On a very big slope, we see, let's go to the weekly time frame on this. So the weekly time frame, we see the JPY basket has been on a very big downtrend here, right? Major structure break here, new high, break of low, new high, break of low. So this, it looks like this is an all-time low. And when it happens like that, it's very tricky. So right now we are treating the yens as very, very weak until we see any significant changes. We are going to treat the yens as very weak, very weak. And we've already seen price reacting to the movements on the yen. You see most of the yens have started pushing up. So let me divert a little bit. Let's look at GBP, JPY. We saw from the past couple of weeks, it's been making a very big pushes to the upside. Last week was all bullish, like super, super bullish, right? You see the GBP, JPY just making impulse pushes to the upside, just like that, crazy pushes, right? So the yens are very weak at the moment. We are treating them as very weak until we see a major significant shift in the market before we look at shorting any of the yens. CAD JPY, not as bullish as GBP JPY, but what we can see here is we've created this double bottom here, and we could continue pushing. So here we are treating all the yens as very weak until we see a major shift in the structure, right? USD JPY. So USD JPY is a very tricky pair to trade. I've explained this several times because of the correlation between the dollar and then the yen. The yen and the dollar have a very close correlation, and most of the time when the dollar is strong, the yen is also strong. And those of you who have like taken like any lesson with me, depending on the level of class that you took with me, I might have explained this concept. So it's very tricky. You don't really get the same vibe with the yen and the dollar. Very tricky pair to trade. So mostly if you are trading the USD JPY, you need to focus more on the technicals. Like just look at what you are seeing on the charts instead of correlation and more fundamentals, because most of the time the market is going to just react to what is happening on the charts. So one thing to keep an eye on here on USD JPY here, the yen is very bullish, but price has run into this level here. We could get a change of direction here. So here I'm going to watch and see how price reacts into this liquidity here, because even though the yen, this has a very high potential because this is another liquidity that is sitting here. So if price closes above this level here, I'll be waiting for a pullback and looking to buy. So this is the plan I'm looking at here. This was unexpected. This is the plan I'm looking at here. If we break this level here, I'll be looking out for a pullback, and this pullback might happen in different forms. So the form that it could have is a pullback all the way back here to test this liquidity here, creating another low, and then a big impulse push to the upside, right? Or a break up and continue pushing all the way here. In that case, we'll be looking to short from here. So those are the two variations. So we need to see how price reacts to this zone, but there is a higher chance price is just going to reject this level, come back, and okay, so that makes it 3 variations. So let me take it again. Price is sitting in this level. If price fails to reject this level, break above this level right now, this is what it's going to do. It's going to drop back into this liquidity and the main psychological level here, 1.46500. And then from here, it's going to push all the way up here. That is the variation to look out for if price is unable to break outside of this zone. The next variation is that it actually breaks to the upside, but then comes back for a retest, either on this level or this level. So these are all variations to keep an eye on. So depending on how price is reacting, that will give us an idea of where exactly to react. The third variation is when price breaks above this level, continues pushing to the upside into this zone. And if that happens, maybe NFP might drop it all the way down here. Right. So that is USD JPY. And as I said, all the yens are weak, very weak, very weak. But on the 4-hour time frame, what we see is that the yen is now on the weekly. We're looking at the weekly initially, so don't get confused. On the weekly, this is what we see: very strong bullish, bearish push to the downside. We've taken out this weekly low here, and we've actually retested that level, and prices very strong bearish push to the downside, right? But what we see here is price has come back into this liquidity here, and this level coincides with what the USD JPY is doing, currently sitting at that liquidity level. So very important level to keep an eye on. So if price rejects from this zone here, then we'll be looking out for a pullback coming into the yen. So that would explain the variation where we have the USD JPY dropping to the downside and then making a push to the upside. So that is generally for the yen. And the last major correlative pair we are looking at will be US oil. Yep. So this is a markup I did last week, and it's it's still in motion. We see price make this double bottom here, pull back to retest, and it's pushing out. We could see the momentum pushing to the upside. So what we need to keep an eye on here is this low here. So we want to see this double bottom hold currently at this level here. And a break of the high and a continuation to the upside to the top of the range. But if price breaks this low, then we are coming back into this zone. So at this point, it's a waiting zone. You don't want to trade in the consolidation. This is a consolidation. Price pushed here, pushed up, right? We need to wait long term to see how price reacts. So this is a waiting period on US oil. And if we are patient to wait, a break to the upside means a push to the upside. And that means we'll be getting a strong Canadian dollar, right? So that is it for the correlative pairs. Now let's look at some currency pairs. I'm not going to go through everything. It's quite a lot here. I don't want the stream to run for a very long time. We've currently been running for 17 minutes, maybe. I don't know how much longer I should continue, but I'll make sure we cover quite some good amount of. So this is gold. So this is a very key level I'm looking to short gold. I don't know which of the movements is going to bring it back, but when price pushes to 1661863, I'll look to short gold down here. So currently price is sitting at this key level here, very important key level here. Depending on the price action here, I might be looking to buy gold here. And if it gets here, I'll now short here. So hopefully, if we get a good price action around this level here, this would be like a very simple setup for gold. Buy gold here, take profit here, sell gold here, take profit here. So 180 pips push to the upside, 340 pips to the downside. So let's go to the 1 hour time frame. Let's see what are the signs we need to see to start buying gold. So currently gold is sitting on that level I've already illustrated, right? Very important level. So what I'll be looking out for going into tomorrow. So this is the Asian session. So mostly what happens is if you can just trade the opposite of the Asian session, you are actually at a better chance of making money just by going the opposite of what the Asian session is doing. So currently we're in the Asian session. Price is starting to push to the downside. So keep an eye on this low here. So if landing session is not able to break out of this low here, right, then New York, we could start looking for a push here. So, but the best way to look at this is if we are looking to get a very good trade, then we need to see price push here, fails to break this low here, and now see a price action that creates a structural break here, right? So we will see a lot of changes happen right from now to landing session. So if price fails to break this low, this is what we'll be looking at. Push to the upside, push to the downside. Like if you're looking at pure price action, this is what we are looking at least on the 15 minutes time frame to start going long from here. At least based on the structure we are looking at on a 4 hour time frame, if we don't break out this low, this is what we should be looking at. We should be looking to buy gold for the 180 pips. And then at this level here, we'll be looking at a similar structure in this zone to go short on gold. For 348.50 pips thereabout. Right? So we need to see how price reacts. But if price decides to drop here, that would change everything, and we might have to look for some pullbacks to enter into the sell to this level here before it means it's going to change everything. What that means is if price breaks the low, this low, this is the low I'm referring to. If price breaks this low, then in that case we wait for a pullback and shorts to the downside. So those are the two scenarios on gold. If you want to keep it pretty simple, just treat this as a range, a break and a pullback. You go long on gold, 480 pips, a break of the low and a pullback, we go short to this level here. But the best setup would be a break to the upside, and then at this level we short here for 340 pips on gold. So that is what we are treating gold now until any structure shift happens. But if this happens, that means we are going to see a weak USD followed by a strong USD. So that is going to change the way Dixie is looking now. It means Dixie is looking. So on the daily time frame, what we're looking at was a continuous push to the upside before it drops. But if what is happening on gold start pushing to the upside, it means the Dixie is going to drop to give us more like a double bottom here before we push up to the zone. So you should know those two scenarios and know how to treat it. Now let's look at USD CHF. Not a pair I like trading. It's also due to a very similar scenario on similar to what we looked at on USD JPY. I've not traded it in forever. Important thing to note here is that this has, if not the same structure, very similar structure to the Dixie. So here we have a continuous push. Price drops, it breaks this low, and we create another low here. So what we need to keep an eye on ultimately is this high here, but technically is this psychological level. And this is a major psychological level because this is where the Swiss franc and then the US dollar is at parity. So 1.00 means the value of the Swiss franc and the value of the Swiss franc and the value of the dollar are at parity here, which means they are of the same value. So on the 4 hour time frame, this is parity right here. So what we could be seeing here is price comes back to test this zone. If that happens, that is going to coincide with what we are seeing on the dollar, as in the dollar continue pushing but fails to break the low and then push to the downside. An important zone to keep an eye on is this level here, right here. So what we should be keeping an eye on is this current zone here, how price reacts to that zone. So here, let's treat it as head and shoulders, break and retest. If price rejects here, we could get 125 shots to the downside here. And depending on price reaction, we will decide what to happen next. So this, if the dollar is looking to drop, which from what we looked at, even if gold is pushing up, we don't expect the dollar to drop all the way down. We're expecting like a double bottom on gold for gold to continue pushing up. So if we get 125 pips here after the push to test this parity level here and price failing to break above here, then we might see price resume to the upside, double top, and then we might drop with NFP. So kind of very tricky. Right, what you should look at is this is very bullish, but we're starting to see a shift in structure, which could see price push up, push down, and reverse from there, or make another push to the upside before a reverse. So something to keep an eye on. So let's look at Euro CHF. As I said, this is something I've been keeping an eye on for a very long time. I've been expecting this drop to happen for ages, but price has kept its bullishness. So we had a good test of this level here, 9880, which is a major psychological level. Another level to keep an eye on is 1.00. So here too, you see there is a major fundamental change going on with the CHF. So we have price parity. So this is where the euro and the Swiss franc is also coming to parity, just on top this level here. It makes a lot of sense for price to continue pushing up, test this zone, and then make a very big drop. But I don't expect it to drop that much because there is this 2-hour level that I'm looking at. Where is this level? So this level here, 0.97500. There's a level right on top here. That's what I'm looking at. So if we push, we get a push to the upside to test this zone. This drop might end here, not go like all the way down. So you might get 250p push on Euro CHF. Even though we are running into this liquidity, I think I'm going to still treat this as bullish because of 1.00 sitting right on top here. So I don't think I'm going to take any action here, but if price pushes down back into this zone here and it fails to break below, I might look to, so this is what I'm talking about, price drops here, I might look to buy this from here, and then from here, depending on the price action, we'll prepare for a very big shot to the downside here. So Euro CHF, we should see a similar pattern on most of the CHF. So let's look at the CHF from here, CAD CHF. Right, so CAD CHF has a major level sitting here. So if we look at the price action in a very simple structure, we could break down to this, this, and we could get this coinciding with Euro CHF before the drop. But let me look at this level and see what is sitting on top of that zone. If we get a clean liquidity sitting there, that would be a second confirmation for the CHFs going to the upside before the drop. H4. We are running 28 minutes now. All right, there's no zone here. Daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, this was a gap here, and it will make a lot of sense. Like on the daily time frame, let's look at the Fibonacci here. This is a 618 retracement, 61.8 retracement. Some of my levels are missing here, but I know those levels. So this is a 618 retracement. That could be a perfect level for CAD CHF to make a long-term push to the downside. So if you look at the daily structure, you see this is very bearish here. Very bearish structure. Double top, pullback, break of low, pullback, break of, okay, double bottom here. The low was not broken. and you see the way price is consolidating right into a major psychological level and also a 618 retracement. So this makes a lot of sense, and we could get a very big long-term push to the downside. So I think with the CHF news that is coming up on Thursday, I would expect a very strong CHF right from this level here. And that should coincide with Euro CHF dropping. And I think we should see a similar pattern on all the CHFs, NZD CHF. Right. So here, NZD CHF, I would expect NZD CHF to continue pushing up onto this level here. Or if we decide to push up, we'll test the next psychological level. Right. So I think I'm going to hold off with the CHF pair. But if they give some pullbacks, I might look to buy them further, because Thursday is a long time. If we get some pullbacks, you might be looking to buy all the CHFs back to those levels that we are highlighting before Thursday news to push this down. Because if you look at this is NZD CHF, very strong bearish momentum, right? Very strong bearish momentum. So impulse, correction, impulse, this corrective push. So let's look at what retracement level this correction could be. So right, so we could get price pushing a little bit above to the 618. So that's mixing level here. There's a missing level here. That's a 618 retracement onto the next psychological level, 58900, and then a big drop to 127. That would make a lot of sense. We could be selling this for a very long time. So we are looking at more pushes coming on the CHF. So we've seen that on Euro CHF, CAD CHF, NZD CHF. Now let's look at what we have on AUD CHF. Right, so AUD CHF, very similar pattern here. So what we are looking at here, this is a major level that was broken in the past. I would also run a trend line from here. And this makes a lot of sense for this to push here and then drop here. This might also be a 0.61.8 retracement as well, right? Right, so the mixing level here is 61.8 retracement. This is what I'll be looking at here. So 50%, this level is 61.8 retracement. So I'm looking at push up on all the CHFs. Currently, let's look at CHF JPY. So it makes a lot of sense for CHF JPY to start dropping, but because of what the yen is doing, I'll stay away from trading CHF JPY because it's kind of tricky. It's like you have two weak currencies. So you want to stay away from two weak or two strong currencies. And currently, the CHF and the yen are weak. So three pairs you want to be staying away from, which I've been teaching a lot, is CHF JPY. It's a good technical pair to trade. Most of the time when you're trading it, your fundamentals might not really affect you that much. CHF JPY, USD JPY, CHF JPY. Unless there is a major news that affect the USD, that's when you see the dollar, USD CHF, USD JPY moving. But mostly they move based on the technicals. USD JPY, USD CHF, and then CHF JPY are really good technical pairs to trade. So enough about the CHFs. Let's look at some USDs. USD CHF, very tricky. All right, let's look at GBP USD. So GBP USD on the daily time frame, two levels to keep an eye on for this week. Price is very bullish here. We've run into this major psychological level here. Which level is this? 1.6250. Price is having a hard time breaking this psychological level. So I'll be looking at 9 for a potential short from here for about 250 pips into this zone here. So this is what I'm looking at, something like this. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, it's a little tricky. We have a major liquidity zone sitting right on top of GBP USD here. So here, if we get a major shift here right now on this psychological level, I'll start shorting here from here. But I will be keeping an eye for this to happen. That's not the intended to. I wanted to use a push into this zone before we get a major drop from here. So this is kind of tricky. But this will be the perfect zone for price to sell from. Let me look at the 1 hour if there are any levels to keep an eye on. So we are running 36 minutes now. That would mean weak USD and a strong push to the upside. So what we need to keep an eye on, I think I'm going to wait out on this to see price reaction to this level here. We know we have a liquidity sitting around 127,200, this level here. If price gets there, that is a very good shorting opportunity here, all the way down here. But currently, it's a little tricky, very tricky now. Oh, that's not the intended to. If price breaks this high, that will be perfect. And then we'll look for a short from this level here. So I'll wait out and see how landing the Asian session goes into the London session. If price breaks above this major psychological level here, I'll be looking to buy GBP USD up and then later look to short around 171.85. I might update this on the Telegram page later on. So if you are new to the video, you just chance on the video, look for the link somewhere in one of the videos and then join the channel. Or you can just look for the channel in my Instagram or something. So speaking about USD pairs, let's look at USD card. So USD card played a little mind games on me last Friday. I tried to shut it from here by a lot of consolidation, and now we are stuck below this level here. So two things to keep an eye on. A break above this level, we look to buy USD card to the next level here to give us how many tops? I was about to say a double top, but these are more than a double top here. Let's look at it from the 4-hour time frame. But this looks like this is what is most likely going to happen. Price drops to the downside, collect liquidity here, make a push here. If it breaks this high, then it might continue up to this level here. So if you look at this very long term, we see kind of a major structural shift taking place here, right? One of the most common patterns here, head and shoulders taking place here. But we could see price making a high around 137,500 before the major drop here. But we need to keep an eye on this price test coming back to test either 134 13500 and then making a push back to the upside. So USD card, I'm not going to do anything here, even though price is sitting at a very important decision level here. It makes a lot of sense to give a pullback here for price to continue. But again, a break to the upside here means price is going to continue to the upside. So that's why I'm going to wait out on USD card. Mostly, it's not a good idea to jump into trades as soon as the market opens. If you have a trade running from Friday, that is very perfect. But mostly entering new positions right after the market opens is not a good idea unless it is opening into a new week, a new month. If market opens, mostly when the market opens, the market creates the low of the month and then start running from there, or the high of the month and start running from there. But aside that, it's not really advisable to start entering trades right after the market opens. So mostly you want to enter your trades Monday evening, because when the market opens, there's a lot of liquidity balances that needs to take place. Friday's orders that were not processed need to be processed, and then the new weeks also needs to start kicking in. So what happens is now the market needs to balance all those transactions before it starts making the moves for the week. So if you want to start trading when the market opens, the best time to start looking for very clean opportunities is Monday evening. Even though the Asian session is not perfect for trading, on Mondays, Asian session could be very good opportunity to get in on movement that is going to continue from Tuesday to the end of Wednesday. Right. So I'm going to wait out on USD card to see how it reacts onto this zone. To see if we get a break here, we'll continue to the upside. If we get a rejection, a rate test here, but I'm still looking at long term, a pullback to the upside and short to long term. But if this push up, that means a strong USD. If this push to the downside, that means a weak USD. But based on what we saw on gold, we don't want this low to be broken for gold to push to the upside. If the low breaks, we wait for a pullback to the downside. So all the currency pairs are connected: USD card, GBP, USD, gold. The common denominator is the USD. So if USD card is pushing up, you expect gold to sell, and then GBP USD to push to the upside. So you need to make all those connections in structure. So one of the main things I look out for is a correlation. You need to be able to link the structure of all the USD based pairs to each other to make a long-term structural direction of where the market is going to, because it's not like just USD card or GBP USD. They are all interconnected, right? Another USD we should probably look at will be Euro USD, and that will sum it up for the USDs. And then we look at JPY and JPY CHF. Okay, we will look at Euro JPY. All right, so Euro USD, very bearish here. So if you go on the 4-hour time frame, you see something very important here. Price is very bearish, which means a strong USD. And price is sitting in this liquidity here, right below this major level 1.00. So you see most pairs are at parity. Most pairs, like we saw the Euro CHF, Euro CHF, and what pair again? USD CHF. And most of the other pairs are looking to be at parity, which means the value of the dollar and the CHF and the euro and the dollar are mostly trading at 1.00. And that is the level where the euro is also sitting at currently. But this is very bearish, very, very bearish. It makes a lot of sense for this to drop down here. But I'm not going to take any trade right now. But if I was taking a trade, this is what I would do. I'll sell this here, have my stop around here. But I'm not going to take any trade. I would rather wait to see how price react to this low. If it breaks the low, I'll wait for a pullback and then short. because if price fails to break the low based on the kind of price action here on the 1 hour, it looks like a hidden head and shoulders pattern that is created here, and this could be price bouncing to the upside and continue pushing. So it's very tricky trading in the Asian session and also Monday Asian session. You might either get in on a very good trade from the beginning or get messed up in a lot of chaos. And you see, this is a very big consolidation. You don't want to get into this mess here. And for geometry traders, you see this is a clean rhombus that is setting up here. This looks like a clean rhombus that is setting up here. Let's look at this Fibonacci retracement. Right. This looks like a 618. Price is sitting on the 618. So I'll pay attention to this low and see how price reacts to this low. Giving us, so the reason why normally I would just go ahead and sell this, but GBP USD is currently very tricky now. Even though we could come all the way to this point here, it's kind of tricky at the moment. And as I said earlier on, all the pairs are connected to each other. You don't want to be trading them in isolation. Like, it's good to trade them in isolation because sometimes if you connect them, you don't make the right connection. You might make the wrong call just looking at GBP USD, but you're actually trading Euro USD. But you need to connect the structures to see what will give you in terms of the major denominator. Here, what we are looking at is the US dollar, right? So on the daily time frame, this is very bearish. We see a very big bearish pattern. Last week, last Friday closed very bearish here. But on the weekly time frame, we are seeing, even though this is very strong bearish push to the downside, we are seeing price starting to show some momentum to the upside, reacting to this major level 1.00, very important level. This is a level where price can break and start pushing. The dollar becomes weak for a very long time, or push, break the low and continue for a very long time. So this is very bearish, but again, you want to see how price react to this low before you take any major decision, because this reacting to this and then dropping is a possibility. Another possibility here is price rejecting here, creating a double bottom and then dropping. Very tricky. But if we break below the low, we wait for a pullback and then sell here and then there. So I'm going to wait out here before I take any trade on Euro USD either tomorrow or the rest of the week. I need to see this low taken out or a rejection for a pullback to the upside. Let's look at Euro JPY. This is very interesting. I took this buy on Friday, but I didn't hold my trades. And right at the market open, we see market pushing to the upside. So as I said earlier on, all the yens are weak. We are treating the yens as weak until we see any major shift in the JPY baskets. And we mentioned that this level here is a level to keep an eye on. Until that happens, you should be looking to buy any JPY you see. If there is, until there is a shift in the JPY basket, you should be looking to buy any yen. You see the momentum push have already started kicking in on CAD JPY, USD JPY, AED JPY. NZD-JPY. And I said CHF-JPY, even though it's pushing up, very tricky. So we should be looking out for more pushes today on all JPYs until we see a major shift in GBP, the JPY basket, right? So technically, I'm not really, most of the pairs are looking to make a continuation push. So we talked about Euro CHF. If you are just joining the stream, you can just play back and watch the sections where I talked about this. And GBP JPY, another big push right at the market open. Unless you are trading on the lower time frame, there is not really any trade here. It's either you are buying and you are still holding the buy, or you don't have any trade here. You don't want to start chasing the market. There's nothing that says this is a reversal. Even though this could continue running down, there's actually no trade here. But all we know is the yens are all weak and we should be looking to continue buying, right? But if you are looking to buy this, you need to be looking at major levels, a retest here, a rejection of major psychological levels. Aside that, you are not getting any trade here. If you're a trend line trader, you're looking at something like this. And still, we are looking at rejection of major levels like this. So this is super bullish. And if you didn't catch the push, it is gone. You're either looking to gamble a retracement by selling or just waiting patiently to continue buying. So we look at almost all the major currencies. Not really something interesting I'm currently looking to trade right now. I think I'm just going to sit out on most of the pairs and watch how the market reacts to most of the major levels. And mostly I want to start trading, as I said, Monday evening, if those levels we've talked about are broken. So one pair I'll be keeping an eye on, gold, as I said earlier. I'm sure you still remember those levels. Keep an eye on gold. Keep an eye on all the CHFs to continue buying. And then watch out for GBP USD to see how it reacts to this level. And this is the zone that where you're looking to short. So if you just join, you should go back and watch the video. And that should be it. US 30. Nothing interesting here. All right, so Euro GBP, what you should be looking at is we've broken this low. If price pushes back to test this zone, you should be looking to sell. So pull back here, we should continue selling Euro GBP from here. So this is the 4-hour zone we are looking at. We should continue selling Euro GBP from here. Push up to, what is this number here? 0.862623 is a good place to put a sell limit here on Euro GBP to continue selling here. If that happens, what this means is it means a strong Euro and a weak GBP. So that means GBP USD is most likely going to drop to test the low or this level here and continue pushing to the upside. Same for GBP JPY, going to drop and then continue to the upside. So as I said earlier, all the pairs are connected. You need to know how to use your correlation to be able to understand the structures that are happening on one structure and translate it into another structure. All right, so I'm going to end here and I'll come back with Formation Tuesday and look at an update. If you have any question with any of the instruments, drop a comment below and I would get back to you. And also let me know what you are trading this week. Right, so Thanks for being on this stream. If you're watching this later, thank you. Smash the like button and see you on Tuesday.